big welcome. My name is Kimberly Wilson. I just want to say thank you for coming out today to join me for this. And if you have a moment to just kind of over in the chat box, maybe say your name, where you're checking in from for brunch, and then also one word to describe how you're feeling today. I feel like emotions have been kind of all over the place these past couple of weeks. And so I'm just curious, how are you at this moment? If you could use one word to describe it. All right, so if you'll show that over in the chat box, and just a reminder, you can download a worksheet that I created for you. Head on over there and grab that if you would like. So what we're going to do here today, and some of you probably already know this because you heard about this before you even logged in, but this idea, I have heard from a few of you of like, okay, with some questions on how to navigate right now, and how do we do artist dates at home, and how do we do some seated yoga and some breath work. And then the other thing I thought we would do is just do a little writing together as a community. And so that's what you're in for the next 30, 45-ish minutes. I won't keep you too long because I know you guys probably have a lot on your agenda for today. And yet I also just want to be able to dive as deep as possible. So again, my name is Kimberly Wilson, and I'm the host of the Tranquility Du Jour blog and podcast, and delighted to be here with you. I'm also a therapist in private practice. And what I would just love is if you could grab, if you have the worksheet, fab. If not, no worries, a pen, some paper, your journal, your day book, whatever it is that would be useful for you to take notes. You also want to have just a little bit of space because we're going to do a little bit of chair yoga. I'll push back a little for that so that you can see a little better, but you don't need anything massive and you don't need to roll out your yoga mat. Again, trying to make this as easy peasy and smooth as possible. All right, and then also feel free at the end of our gathering, I'll do a little Q&A. So if there's anything that you're like, well, what about this? Or I've got some questions about that, we'll save time for that at the end, and I will definitely circle back. And that way I'm not kind of trying to read the chat box the whole time that I'm trying to guide you all through this experience. Okay, so for brunch, you may be like, what the hell is a virtual brunch? I just thought it'd be more fun. Like everyone's doing happy hour, which is lovely. But what about like, a little midday thing? And so I'll tell you what I gathered for my brunch. I am newly obsessed. If you guys don't know this, I feel like I'm like a salesperson for these people. I'm not. I did purchase 2 cases though. But Health Aid Kombucha, it's bubbly rose. You guys, this stuff is amazing. If you're kombucha fans, it's kind of an acquired taste. But so that's what I've got. And then, of course, I've got green tea and then water because I'm obsessed with being hydrated and I'm always surrounded by tons of beverages. So for you, grab whatever it is you need that will make you as comfortable as possible. Try to be in comfy, stretchy clothing. Maybe lighting a candle, whatever it is that's going to set your space up for a little tranquility as we commune together today. All right, so I'm going to head on over into the chat box just to see what you guys actually have to say about how you're feeling. We've got Teresa, who's feeling calm. I love it. Feeling tranquil, obviously. Barbara. Disconcerted. Mama Wilson, Oklahoma, not surprised. It's crazy times. Georgia from the UK, actually feeling quite relaxed today. Feeling restless, Madeline. Anxious in Scotland. Florida, excited to be here. Wonderful. Just going to scroll a bit more. Today, feeling calm. Yesterday, different story. Cindy, isn't that true? I feel like our emotions, one thing to keep in mind with all this is emotions really are like weather patterns, right? So it's going to be constantly shifting. And so it is interesting, right? Yesterday I was X. Today, it could even be this morning or earlier today I was X and now I'm Y. It's amazing how it shifts. Chat of family, feeling better, feeling centered, feeling stressed, settled, part of fellowship. I love that, Lissy. Wonderful. Vulnerable, grateful, calm. You guys, this is wonderful. It's so nice. And you may be like, why in the world? We've got Maite from France, confined to our homes for at least 2 additional weeks until mid-April. Wow. Yeah, it is just at ease in this moment. Feeling tired, stayed up too late. My dog got me up early. I hear ya, honey. I hear ya. Um, Wonderful. Okay, so great, you guys. It's like it's so wonderful to hear and to see so many familiar faces, but also to hear kind of like where you guys are. It's like such a it's such a tricky time, I think. And so it's nice to be able to come together as a community. So come to a comfortable seat, whatever that might be for you. Like I'm sitting cross-legged with a snoring pug on my lap. So gather, and don't you worry if like kids come in or all sorts of things like dogs, it's totally okay because we're muted and I would love to see them. I'm sure other people would too. Again, you're welcome to do video or not, totally your call. So come to a comfortable seat and sitting up nice and tall. And I'm going to bring hands onto thighs and then see if you can get shoulder blades down the back. And let the eyes close as we just slowly kind of settle and drop in. And if it helps, bring one hand to your heart. Now, those of you who mentioned feeling restless, I hear you. This is a time where there's so much uncertainty. And I think a lot of people in the Tranquility du Jour community are planners, right? So much is uncertain right now. And that's why it's so important to be very gentle with ourselves. So bring a hand on the heart, again, if that's comfortable, maybe even a hand on the belly. Let's take a few deep breaths together. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, 2, 3, 4. So deep breath, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And take a moment here to create an intention for your day. Now, some of you, you're just getting started with your day on the West Coast. It's nice and early. Some of you, it's more mid-afternoon. But just notice, how are you feeling kind of right now, and how do you want to emerge as the day goes on? And the reason I had you name your feelings, to give one word to it, is by naming our feelings, it helps to calm the amygdala down just by simply knowing what it is you're feeling and that's going on. So kudos for being able to identify that. Take a big inhale through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. Let the eyes flutter open. Great. So again, a big welcome. Thank you for brunching with me over kombucha or whatever it is you guys may have. And again, if you didn't grab the worksheet and you'd like it, it is not necessary. I'm just somebody who I like to be able to write into things. You can find that at kimberlywilson.com/blog, or at the very top of the chat box, there's a direct link. Okay. Again, don't worry if you don't have it. I just want to offer it up. So what we're going to begin with is artist dates at home. So again, I've heard from people that are just like, oh, I'm used to being able to go out and about or to do things, during my lunch break or on the weekends. And right now I can't, I'm kind of cooped up at home. And some people are cooped up at home with many other beings. Some people are solo. And The thing to keep in mind is it's like, okay, what is it we have control over right now? Which I know seems minuscule, but what is it we have control over and what can we do? So I have a list of some options that I wanted to share with you that I thought might be useful as we think about, okay, how can I create an artist date at home? And some of you may be like, what the heck is an artist date? So let me just bring out the Bible of this, which is the book, The Artist's Way. So I got this book back in 1999 after I finished my first yoga teacher training. And I was like, I'd been hearing a bit about the book and I thought it would just be interesting to go through the process. It's a 12-week program. Well, anything to say it was life transforming is an understatement. And one of the tools that she recommends that we do weekly is an artist date. So I'm just going to read you the definition of it for those of you who this is new. So she writes, Julia Cameron, an artist date is a block of time, perhaps 2 hours weekly, especially set aside and committed to nurturing your creative consciousness, your inner artist. In its most primary form, the artist date is an excursion, a play date that you pre-plan and defend against all interlopers. Either way, the idea is these are supposed to be done solo. Now, if you are cooped up at home with many people, that might not necessarily be possible to do solo. So you do you, however is most useful. But the thing about it is it's time that's set aside to nurture your inner artist. And I'm going to give you a list of ideas on how to do that. Again, because you may typically like go to the latest exhibit. And I'll tell you, lovely ladies who are in Washington, D.C., you must see Degas at the opera exhibit that is at the National Gallery of Art. Unfortunately, we can't go there. It is closed down right now, but when it comes back, you simply must see it. It's amazing. Like, I can't wait for it to reopen because I want to go. And I'm sure many of you in your towns have other things that are going on that you would like to attend. And so one thing I want to start with is making a wish list. Okay, what is on your wish list whenever you're able to kind of get back out and about? What are some maybe concerts that are still scheduled or have been rescheduled? Maybe some exhibits, maybe some play dates. And the reason I encourage you to do this is it just fulfills a sense of hope, because I think right now for a lot of people, it's like when so much is out of our control, hope can diminish. And to know that on the horizon, you plan to meet up with so and so, right? Or you plan to take that art class you'd been wanting to take in person somewhere. The good news is you can do a lot of this online right now. But just thinking about like what would be a wish list for me. And those of you who joined TDJ Live, like I'm just curious, a little show of hands. How many of you were at TDJ Live on Sunday? Yay! Oh, wonderful. Because, with that, I also was talking about some of the ways in which we can kind of also pull this together, do this, and, communicate in a way that allows us to just stay connected despite everything that is happening in the world right now. And so the other thing that I love, I just found out about this morning, and I was like, I can't wait to share. And I'm going to put the link over in the chat box, but Vogue, shared Vogue France. Okay, so this is going over in the chat box for all of you, that you can go to the Paris Opera right now, virtually, clearly. But let me just point out that May 30th on, we have Swan Lake coming. So I can't wait because again, a lot of these things you would have to go to Paris. I mean, how often do they stream for free their operas? And so thinking about some of these things that you can do virtually that you're like, oh, I can't typically go and see the Louvre. Another thing, and you can find these links through Travel and Leisure, but you can now do virtual visits of some of the top museums. I don't know if the Louvre is on there, but Musée d'Orsay is, which is actually my favorite because it's so much Impressionism, Bonnard, it's just beautiful. So you could decide that this afternoon you're going to go to Paris, Musée d'Orsay, and check out some art. So, knowing that there are virtual options for this that are great to do at home, it's like armchair traveling, is another way to look at it. And there's also national parks that you can visit. And again, all this can be found at Travel and Leisure. So, just type in Travel and Leisure or virtual national park or Travel and Leisure virtual museum tour. And again, not ideal. I know it's not the same as seeing something right in front of you, but it is an option. So, armchair traveling, just wanted to mention that. And again, I had just found out about the free things happening at the Paris Opera House and couldn't wait to share that with you. Again, May 30th through I think it's April 5th, Swan Lake. I'm all over it. All right, art journal. Now, I'm going to push some art journaling because, of course, that's like my thing that I find to be really nourishing and creative. Now, the thing is what do you need for art journaling? So I'll just grab magazines, bits of paper, and an art journal. Like this is a small one that I'm working in right now. An art journal, like really it's just a journal. And I love just like having little postcards. This is from a class I took in Paris. The artist did a little sketch, and so having the time to, because how many people are like, I don't have time to art journal, right? So now we have a little bit more time and space. So pulling out images, pulling out ephemera, going through magazines and being like, oh, I could do so much with this, or create a collage or just do some writing over it with a Sharpie. So again, art journaling, I'm a big pusher of that. I find it to be really, really cathartic. The other thing is create your own little art journal toolkit. So this is my traveling toolkit, and it doesn't have to be art journal toolkit, just creativity toolkit. Okay, so this is just a little bag. It's actually a purse, I think, that I got at Urban Outfitters like 20 years ago. And what I do is I just use it for little supplies. So if I'm traveling or if I'm just going somewhere for an afternoon, whenever we used to be able to do things like that, I just grab my art journal kit or my creativity kit, voila, and then off I go. So, just something like having my pens, having washi tape, of course, a must. This is some glitter from like the 50s that was in this cute little container that broke. And so I kept it and then I just carry gold glitter around in a Ziploc bag. I mean, of course, doesn't everybody? And then Elmer's glue. I like glue sticks. These are great because they're super light. So to be able to tack things down inside your art journal. And then the other thing I have in here, and I haven't had any issues kind of with security with these, but it's just a little pair of scissors. I like to tear images, but it's nice to have that. And then the other thing that's in it is a Sharpie, pink tape, of course, and then my paintbrush is an old credit card. So see if I can find it in here. So just like an old credit card, and those of you joining for next week's virtual retreat, we are going to be painting with that. I'm not finding it in here. I must have taken it out. But another way to paint backgrounds is just stamp pads and doing this. All right, so you may be like, what in the world? What's that all about? Well, sometimes it's just nice so that you don't have these supplies strewn about, that you have them pulled together in a container or a basket that you can just pull out when the mood strikes. That way you're not having to go through cabinets and drawers going like, where's my glue stick? Where's my scissors? Where's my marker? And then just having it all together. And then, it's nice and light, nice little container. This one's filled with more pens than I need, but we have to have our vices, right? Okay, so the next thing is doing a vision board of sorts. Like maybe you could envision, what do I want my summer to look like, and pull images or words or ideas of that. Another thing, some people, are not necessarily tactile, right? And don't necessarily want to pull things out of magazines. So you could do a Pinterest board. It could be a Pinterest board of like my dream living room, right? Once I get things a little more organized, or this is like my dream closet whenever I pare it down to like my top 15 essentials. This is how I want to feel this summer, and you see someone maybe on a beach with sunshine on their skin, kind of like whatever it is that would be nourishing for you. And again, this is all about your creative consciousness. So that's what I want you to be able to spend a little bit of time doing. and with the tools and things that you have in front of you. And most people will have access to Pinterest. Now, the other thing is to set up a creative space. So I mentioned having your little toolkit, your to-go bag of sorts, but what about also having things at the ready? So I'll just give an example. So I always have markers and scissors right on my desk. I also have a big thing of washi tape, also always on my desk, right? So that way, even if I'm just writing a letter, then I can easily put in a tea bag and then seal it with washi tape. And then I've got my markers there for writing, or just writing into my day book, things along those lines. So if you have things at the ready, then it will help your creative space and creative part of yourself want to dive in. And this is something similar for those of you who are working from home now, which I'm sure most of you are. um, the thing about, I think, what I'm hearing a lot of people struggling with is they don't have a separate space for their work environment. So think of your creative space as similar, being able to like shut down your work computer, putting it aside and knowing I'm not coming back to that until Monday morning, right? But it's the same thing with creativity. So that you've got that all together. And whenever I pull out these tools, or when mama closes the door and puts do not disturb on the handle, that means that this is like my creative time. So getting that set up will also help nourish that creative spark. Okay, another thing, read a classic, right? So of course, reading. I'm sure a lot of you are doing more reading now than usual. Check out Goodreads. There's so much there. And what I love about Goodreads too is I track all of the books that I'm reading, because I love doing a challenge and then setting it up and then clicking read when I've read it. And so, that might be something you would like to add, or you just write your list of what I want to read right now. But maybe it's a classic, something you've always thought like, oh, I want to read Little Women, but I just haven't had the time. Well, now might be a time. And again, that's an artist state, because you are nourishing your creative spark there. Okay, a few more. Write a poem. So what's kind of fun too, and I don't know how many of you follow Austin Kleon, but he's written like Steal Like an Artist, Show Your Work, some really good books. You've probably seen them. They're square. But he does a lot of like writing poems from, he'll take like a newspaper article and then black over words that don't align with the poem, and he'll create words out of somebody else's big set of words, and it turns into this like beautiful poem. There's a name for that, and I can't remember what it is, but I just love that. I think it's just such a sweet idea. But you could do the same thing too from here, is just taking words, taking letters, and creating a poem. And you may be like, well, I'm not a poet. I hear you, honey. Maybe a haiku, right? This is that 575. All right. Now, the next thing that I loved pulling this together and thinking about it is like, watch a documentary. Okay. So I have a list of some that are super fun. And here I will cut and paste these actually and put them over in the chat box for you guys. Voila. Okay. So most of these I've seen, but a couple were new. Two were new that I didn't know about. Okay, Iris. You guys probably all know who Iris is. She's freaking amazing, like style icon, and she's like in her late 90s. Dior and I, great film. Bill Cunningham, New York. So unfortunately, we lost him last year. This documentary is so inspiring. And the reason I chose these, they're all about creativity. A Ballerina's Tale. Now, I did not know about this, and it's Misty Copeland's freaking story. I cannot wait to watch it. And if you guys don't know who Misty Copeland is, she is a beautiful African-American ballet dancer who, this is really about the fact that she's like broken into an industry. She dances for ABT, American Ballet Theater, and she's just like a rock star, and she doesn't have the typical body shape, etc., of the average ballerina. And it looks really good. I watched the trailer and I was like, how did I not know about this? So that is one that I recommend. Diana Vreeland. So Mary Ann, who may be on the call today, she actually told me about Diana Vreeland. Fascinating woman, New York. And I recommend her. The documentary is so good. I just love watching stuff about quirky women who have like done amazing creative things. So check her out. The September issue, of course, hello, love me some Anna Wintour. I know she's quite controversial, but there's just something about her that I like. And and you'll see why if you watch this. Like she's such a perfectionist, and she does good product. And then the last one, this is another one I didn't know, hadn't seen. I think it came out last year, and it's called The Creative Brain. And so that sounded kind of interesting. So again, I put those all over there, and please feel free to add any that I've missed or ideas. I'm going to give a few more ideas, and I'd love for you to add some over in the chat box in case I missed like one that you're like, this is obvious. What about this one? Take an online class. Okay, I can't emphasize that enough. Right now, there's so many out there. I'm almost like overwhelmed. I feel like I could do like 3 webinars a day, and then I have others that I've bought and need to go into and do, or ones that I got the replay for. There's just so many wonderful things happening right now online, and so maybe there's something you've always wanted to learn. Watercolor. There's a lot of free classes out there. So check those out. Try a puzzle. I've heard from a lot of people they're doing puzzles, which I think is just the sweetest. It seems like something you're like, oh, I do, on a summer vacation when I'm like stuck in a cabin somewhere with nothing to do. It's like, oh no, like this is fun. It's challenging, and it's lovely to see the finished product. I think it's very creative. Okay, make a new recipe. I mean, I think a lot of people are having to learn to cook or cook new things right now. So maybe trying something along those lines. Write a bucket list. Like, how many of you, and I did this years ago, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and I feel like I need to go in and update it because there is space actually in the day book to do that. And the idea kind of with a bucket list, right? So those of you who have the day book, there's a page for actually doing a bucket list. But the idea behind this is like, okay, what are the things you want to accomplish in your lifetime? And so now's the time to be thinking about some of these bigger things, right? So I encourage you to, I don't know, to really think about like, what is it I want to achieve? It could be like this year. It could be within the next few years. But the idea is a bucket list is like within your lifetime. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, and again, I'll head over because I'm sure you guys have wonderful additional ideas, is make a playlist. So Spotify, so fun to pull these together. So what are some things, some music that really resonate? I will say, after the election in 2016, a lot of people were making these really intense playlists that I personally found incredibly helpful too. And so I feel like in times of heightened emotion, music, you guys I'm sure agree, is so powerful. I put together I shared a playlist actually on International Women's Day. And Barbara, I think you said that you had listened to it and liked it. And it's over on the blog. I think it's like March 7th, if you guys wanted to locate it. But I think it's like 100 songs by women, and so that's kind of a fun thing. So something that just is like empowering and exciting that you would like to listen to feel kind of more grounded or fired up or motivated, etc. Now, before I head over to the chat box, I just want to mention, if you are like, I have no motivation right now, I am not baking bread like the rest of Instagram, I am not doing online workouts, I can barely get out of bed. Know that that's completely normal, and a lot of other people are experiencing that. So be gentle with yourself. Do what works for you. Okay, these are simply ideas on ways to nourish the creative spark while we're dealing with a global crisis, right? No big deal, just a global crisis. So, Rebecca, oh my God, I'm not baking bread like the Instagram. Yes. Okay. Spotify, let's see. Maite just got a box of materials to sew. Yeah, feel free. I'm just going to head over here to see if you guys have any other ideas on ways that we can, do more creative things right now at home. Because I think a lot of times people feel like, oh, this is what I do when I'm out and about. Nope, right home right now. Sewing, yes. Bucket list, good. Love that. Oh yeah, Andre Leon Talley. Oh my gosh, Lissy, yes. Okay, that one too. That is such a good documentary. And can I just say, he came to Tranquil Space once, so which was the yoga studio I used to have. So for a private session, but not with me, with someone else. But anyway, like he's freaking amazing. That is a very good documentary. Thank you. Oh my gosh, and Loving Vincent. Again, another really good one. Bea, is that the animated one? Because that one I loved. I watched it on a plane actually. Love Bill Cunningham. Blackout Poetry. Thank you, Trixie. That's what it's called, Blackout Poetry. And I was not describing it very well. So if you Google Blackout Poetry, you'll see what it is, what it looks like. It's such a cool idea for those of you who are like, I don't know where to come up with the words. So that is one way to kind of pull it together, is you just pull from other people's words, but you black out the words that don't necessarily fit. Name the author. Austin, I'll put it right here. And I'm sure other people do this, but I feel like this is kind of what he became known for. Austin Kleon. Carol, I think, who I saw in here, and I actually saw him speak at Politics and Prose last year when he was promoting his latest book. And yeah, he's just a creative genius. You can sign up for his newsletter, and he sends out like 10 things every week, and it's really lovely. 10 things in one email, let me emphasize that. So you're not getting tons of email. Okay, so before we move into a little bit of yoga, oh yeah, writing daily, love notes, love that, Justine. And Angela, declutter, organize, redecorate, rearrange. Of course, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. That is so important. Yes, I think that is something that we have a little bit more time for now. And let's be honest, when we're stuck at home, we see this mess more. And so, and particularly if you're doing like a yoga on your floor, you're like, oh, look at all those dust bunnies, or look at all the hair, right? So it's like, in a weird way, like this has been useful for us to get it more in the nesting mode and to take care more of this part of ourselves, simply because we're here, we're in it, right? So thank you. Knitting projects. Great. Awesome. So before I dive into a little bit of seated yoga, and I just have to move my dog off my lap, Gizzy, I'll just have Gizzy say hello. He's my little angel. I'm going to set him right over here, sweetie. I'm going to have to scoot back. Let's scoot back so you guys can see. But one thing before I dive into a little bit of seated yoga, I wanted to mention that next Saturday, I'm going to be doing a 3-hour event like this, but bigger. And it comes with like a 30-page guidebook, all sorts of fun things. And it's going to be seated yoga, creativity, like a full practice, mindfulness, and journaling, reflection, community, etc. So if you guys are interested in that, you can find out more, and I'll just type this, KimberlyWilson.com/virtual retreat. Now, for anyone who is like, I want to come, but I can't afford it, just know if you go over there and look, I have offered up, and let me just tell you exactly kind of the way I put it. If you've been financially affected by what's happening and it prevents you from joining us, I think particularly those of you who have lost jobs, or, income has been, I know so many people's it's been like cut in half, just know I got you. Just email me, reach out. I'm hello@KimberlyWilson.com, and then I will send you a complimentary code because I would love to have you join. And just, a portion of all the proceeds from next week's virtual retreat will benefit Pigs and Pugs Project. And can I just tell you that right now, pig sanctuaries and pug shelters or rescues are like in major need. I mentioned this on TDJ Live. One out of Houston, one rescue took in 10 pugs in one freaking day. So just know that like we will be helping and supporting these with proceeds from the virtual retreat. Also, Meals on Wheels, which is going to help keep seniors safe among this virus. All right. Again, this is all over on KimberlyWilson.com/virtual retreat. So if you scroll down, you'll see the information, you'll see the link. I want everyone who feels that they would benefit from this to be there. Even if you cannot afford it, I will send you a complimentary code because I don't want there to be any barriers. All right. So if you are enjoying this experience, but you're like, I want 3 hours, I want to really devote time to, there's going to be doing a lot more teaching. And then also really, it's a massive dose of self-care. Okay, so again, kimberlywilson.com/virtual retreat. And also, I wanted to mention because I offered this up at TDJ Live, anyone who signs up by the end of today, so by midnight, you guys are going to get invited to a pre-retreat happy hour on Friday night. Okay, and that's going to be at 8 p.m. So just save that time, and we'll be gathering before the retreat and then retreating. All right. And it's all going to be over on Zoom too. So I've heard some of you, well, what if I'm not on Facebook? No worries. It's not happening on Facebook, but there will be a Facebook group for people who want to connect that way. All right. So let's, I'm just going to scoot back so you can see maybe a little bit more. And let's just do a little bit of seated yoga. And the reason I want to say seated yoga versus on the mat, which I may do a more on the mat experience later, meaning down the road, we're going to be sitting a lot right now. I mean, how many of you are like, I am sitting all the time right now? So I wanted to give some things that you could do while you're, doing this all day. Because, usually at the office, you get up, you go talk to colleagues, you go get water, you go get coffee, etc. So what would it be like to actually be able to get some of this while you're in your chair? So taking breaks regularly, critical. All right, so hands on thighs. Exhale, curve the spine and drop your chin to your chest. And then inhale, heart center forward, shoulder blades down the back. By the way, I scooted up towards the front of my chair so that I have more space. So in case that helps you. And then exhale, curve the spine, chin to chest. And then inhale, heart center forward, shoulder blades down the back, forehead up. Ah, yes. And then exhale, curve. And then inhale, heart center, lifting up. And then exhale, curve. And then up. Nice. Inhale, arms out to the sides, all the way up. So palms of the hands together above the head. Interlace hands, turn palms up. And then exhale over to the side. Either side. And then back up. And then other side. And then back up. Once more to the side. So this is so good for the waistline to just feel like, oh, it's getting stretched and moved. And then other side. Ah, that feels so good and so simple. All right, so now we're going to twist. I love me some six movements of the spine. So left hand, right knee, right hand behind you. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, twist. Gaze over your back shoulder. So I'll just keep my gaze forward so you can hear me, but know that you're gazing over your back shoulder. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, twist. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, twist. Back to the center. Pause for a moment, kind of ring it out. And then we'll do the other side. I'm always amazed at how good that feels. And it is a few seconds, right? So right hand, left knee, left arm behind you. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, twist. Gaze over that back shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Oh, beautiful. All right, back to the center. Okay, one more, and I'm going to scoop back some more. I hope you can see me. I'm lifting my leg, and I am putting my ankle on my knee. So I think you know what that means. I'm not going to adjust the camera, but I think you get it. So here's what it looks like. All right. Now this is seated freaking pigeon. Who knew you could do pigeon seated? And it's amazing. Now, if anyone's like, okay, that is not happening for me, then just cross your ankles instead. Okay. Ankle on knee and fold forward. And you're going to feel this. Does everybody feel that in the outer hip? Oh my gosh, it's so good. And if you want to take it deeper, those of you who are like, I like to stretch, I want more. Hands all the way down on the ground and let your head drop. Breathing here. Gosh, doesn't that feel so good? Is it just me? I'm like, this is freaking amazing. It's so simple. And keep that foot flex, the one that is on top of the knee, keep it flexed. Doesn't matter which one you're using. We're going to swap it out. Okay, let's come back up and we'll switch sides. So other leg, ankle on knee, and then folding forward. Okay, and those of you who are like, I can't fold forward, I can barely breathe with this. No worries, cross your ankles instead, and then fold forward a little bit, and you'll get a little in these outer hips still, okay? Breathing, breathing, breathing. Release the head and neck. And I'm just keeping it up so I can gaze at you, but we want to release it, just relax it, maybe hands on floor. A couple more breaths here. And then let's roll up. Nice. Okay, one last one. Bring arms behind the back. Those of you who have a chair or sitting on a couch, you just turn to the side a little, interlace your hands and lift up. And then back and forth. And release. Ooh. And then just shake that out. Isn't that lovely? And it's so freaking simple. So just a little bit. And we'll be doing a longer routine or practice next Saturday at this time. And I hope that gives you just a feeling of like for me, even though I did a full yoga practice last night, I did some bar this morning, but it's like I'm like, oh God, I'm buzzing. It's like you just kind of come alive with a little bit of movement. So thank you guys for participating. So the last thing that I want to do is give you 3 journal prompts. Now, since we're getting shorter on time, because I rambled on and on about artist dates at home, what I'm going to do is give these to you and ask you to spend some time in contemplation later, okay? Because I want to leave a little bit of time for Q&A. So if you could just write these questions down, and what I'll do is I'm going to cut and paste them and put them over in the chat box for you to make it easy peasy in case you miss anything I say. Okay, so number 1 is, what am I learning about myself right now? What am I learning about myself right now? So during this time, I think a lot of people I'm hearing, oh my gosh, I love being alone, or oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy. I miss interaction. I'm texting everyone and Zooming everyone. And, so whatever it is, there's no right or wrong answer here, and there's no judgment. Okay. So what am I learning about myself during this time? I mean, it could be just I hate uncertainty, which, let me just tell you, I don't know anyone who likes uncertainty, but some people can tolerate it more than others. So just, what are you noticing? Again, there's no right answer to this. Number 2, list 5 good things about this week. What are 5 things that happened this week? Okay, I'll give a silly example. I hit refresh on Whole Foods delivery for about 12 hours in order to get this one kombucha, because my 2 cases have not arrived. And that made me so happy when a small opening arrived that I could actually have some groceries delivered, including this. Small thing, but oh my gosh, it made such a difference. When it arrived, I squealed and ran to the front door. It's little things. Usually I'd be like, oh, I'm just grabbing a kombucha at the grocery store. But now when things are a little harder to get, it's they're bigger deals, at least for me. And number 3, what adjustment can I make to help things flow smoother right now? So what adjustments can I make to help things flow smoother right now? And I will say, the one thing I'm hearing from a lot of people, and we're going to touch on this and work on this in the virtual retreat, is a schedule, right? You guys, everybody has a schedule of sorts, some sort of a routine, but right now things are kind of out of sorts, right? Our routines are really kind of uprooted. And so getting a routine that works for you whenever your space is so confined is really, really critical. But again, we are, for most people, just 2 weeks in, so do not think you need to have this figured out now. But what is one adjustment that you could make to help things flow smoother? And it may be, I'm going to do some online classes, right? Online exercise classes, because you may be missing your regular gym time. So whatever it is, okay, so these are 3 journal prompts that I would really love it if you would spend some time on after we're done, okay? What am I learning about myself during this time? List 5 good things about this week, and what adjustment can I make to help things flow smoother right now? All right. So, in closing, I would love to hear, do you guys have any questions? Is there anything that you're like, and I'm sorry, I'm keeping you a little over. I was like, oh, we'll be like 30, 45 minutes. It's 47 minutes, and I value your time, so I don't want to keep you much longer. But I would love to know if you have any questions that I could answer for you before we close today, like any particular area in which you're really struggling, anything that's, about anything I've talked about, any artist date that you're like, oh my gosh, you didn't say this. And I think this is a great idea that I just thought of, or anything too that initially came up for you with regard to these journal prompts. Okay. So I'll head over to the chat box and just kind of see what you lovelies have to say. Um, okay, yeah, I will post this abso-freaking-lutely. So I'm gonna save this. I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to do video because I'm not sure how this is gonna record just based on what I'm seeing. But so that's why I also didn't post the video from the last one we did, but I did post the audio. And so same thing here. If you don't get video, which hopefully you're gonna get video, but if not, then you're gonna get audio. So absolutely, Catherine, yeah. Um, Oh yeah, yoga practices on tranquil treasures. Yes, Melinda. Yes, yes, yes. So a reminder: I have 2 one-hour practices and a Yin yoga practice over on Tranquil Treasures. And if you're like, well, how do I access that? If you sign up for my love notes, you get a password to access it. And then it's also at the bottom of every love note I send. And that's my mailing list. So just go to, and I'll type that in. You just go to KimberlyWilson.com/love notes. All right. And so that's how you sign up. And then where do you get to treasures? Well, let me just tell you that too. It's KimberlyWilson.com/treasures. Okay. And then it's password protected. So you just need that password and then you'll go right on in. There's meditation practices, yoga practices. There's all sorts of like PDFs and MP3s. So yeah, dive in because I've got a lot of tools there for you. Great video of various animals crossing along. Isn't that funny, Gina? It's like what we find amusing right now. We're like, oh my gosh, it's great. Yes, it's free, Deborah, if you're on the mailing list. Absolutely. There's no charge for it. So focused on making sure my family's comfortable and safe and nourished. I've forgotten about taking care of myself. And yes, it's so important, right? So critical. Yoga with long lost instructor, tech working well. Yay. And homemade cheese. Wonderful, Barbara. Planted flowers with my foster dog this week. Kelly, can I just take a moment to say thank you so much for fostering that dog? Is freaking adorable. Yeah, Kelly Tobin offerings on Facebook to join for virtual yoga. Have I taken 2 of your classes now? And they're so fun. Can you type out the travel and leisure thing? You know what, Lissy, just Google travel and leisure virtual museum, travel and leisure virtual national park, and you'll find it. It'll come right up on Google because I don't have the link handy, sorry. But I did put the links over on my blog last week. So if you want to check those out, you'll find direct link. Great. Is it free? Let's see. I'm grateful for this time together. Thank you, Margaret. And I can't wait to see you next week for the virtual retreat. Heather, scheduling and trying to maintain sense of normalcy. I know, right? That's the hard thing. And keeping in touch with people, getting outside, so important. Can you type out? Let's see. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. Yeah, I think it's been great. Okay, wonderful. Oh, Tanitha, thank you. You Googled and you found it. You're beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, I was like, oh, I can't really go on over there and Google. So thank you, Tanitha, for grabbing that. All right, ladies, and I think we may have a gentleman or two on here. I just want to say a big thank you for tuning in today. It was a treat to have brunch with you, even though I didn't have food because I thought it'd be awkward eating with you. But we got to sip beverages together, and I'm just going to see if I can head on over here. Oh yeah, for the virtual retreat, Deborah, let me just show you. I'll just put the link here too. And it's kimberlywilson.com/virtual retreat. And just a heads up, a reminder, if you want to join next Saturday, 12 to 3 Eastern time, and you cannot afford the $49 investment, then please reach out to me. Send me an email and I'll send you a complimentary code. And just a reminder, by being there with us, your work helps supports pigs, yay, hugs, super yay, and Meals on Wheels. So thank you. All right. Yeah, oh, look, it's just so fun to see all your faces. Like those of you who have video, hello. Leslie, oh my God, so fun, you guys. Mom has her family photo up. I love it. Yay, you guys, so beautiful. Oh, it's so fun to see everyone because, with the screen, I was just seeing like 4 and it was my little face in a thing. So now I see all of you. What a treat. All right, lovely ladies, have a delightful rest of your day. Reach out if you need anything. I'm hello@kimberlywilson.com and happy to support you in any way I can. I'll keep putting out resources. And if you have a particular resource that would be useful to you, let me know. And hope to see you next Saturday from 12 to 3. Thank you guys. Namaste.